Imagine two people working toward the same goal. One thinks about success every day. The other barely thinks about success at all. Years later, the second person is often the one who gets there. The question is simple. Why does the person who thinks less about success so often achieve more of it? Most people believe success is the result of obsession. They assume the people who achieve the most are constantly focused on the outcome they want. But if you look closely, something different appears. The individuals who make the most consistent progress are often focused on something much smaller. They are focused on what they can control today, while everyone else is distracted by what they hope will happen tomorrow. This is the first thing Machiavelli understood about power. Outcomes are seductive because they are visible. People become fascinated by the crown, the victory, the position, the reward. What they fail to notice is that these things are only effects. They are the final result of a process that began long before anyone could see it. And the people who understand this stop chasing effects and start controlling causes. The average person spends an enormous amount of mental energy thinking about results. They imagine the promotion before they have mastered the work. They imagine recognition before they have developed the skill. They imagine the destination before they have built the road. It feels productive because it creates the illusion of movement. But attention spent on outcomes is often attention taken away from the process that produces them. This is why chasing success can quietly become a trap. The more emotionally attached you become to a future result, the more vulnerable you become to frustration, impatience, and distraction. Your attention begins drifting toward things you cannot control. And the moment your attention leaves the process, your ability to influence the outcome begins to weaken. Most people never notice this shift happening. They begin with a simple goal, but over time the goal becomes the center of their attention. They start measuring their worth by how close they are to achieving it. Good days depend on visible progress. Bad days feel like failure. Without realizing it, they have surrendered their emotional stability to something that has not happened yet. There is a deeper reason this happens. The human mind is naturally drawn toward certainty, and success appears to offer it. People imagine that once they achieve a certain outcome, their problems will disappear, their doubts will fade, and their lives will finally feel complete. But reality rarely works that way. Every outcome eventually becomes normal. Every achievement loses its novelty. What remains is the process that got you there. And if the process was weak, unsustainable, or built entirely around chasing a result, the success itself often becomes difficult to maintain. This is why some people reach their goal and still feel dissatisfied, while others seem calm and focused long before the result arrives. If you study highly effective people, you will notice something that seems almost counterintuitive. They often appear less emotionally invested in success than everyone around them. This does not mean they lack ambition. It means their attention is directed elsewhere. While others are constantly asking, "Oh, how close am I to the result?" they are asking a different question. Did I execute the process correctly today? That difference may sound small, but it changes everything. One mindset creates anxiety because it depends on outcomes. The other creates stability because it depends on actions. And actions are always closer to your control than results. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to those who remain focused on what can actually be influenced. A ruler who becomes obsessed with public praise eventually becomes dependent on it. A ruler who focuses on maintaining the conditions that create stability holds a far stronger position. The same principle applies to your own life. Success is not something you directly control. You cannot force recognition, opportunity, influence, or outcomes to arrive on your schedule. What you can control is the quality of your preparation, the consistency of your actions, and the standards you hold yourself to when nobody is watching. and over long periods of time, those things tend to matter far more than most people realize. The irony is that the people who chase success the hardest often become the easiest to distract. They are constantly scanning for signs that they are winning. They compare themselves to others. They monitor progress obsessively. They react emotionally to every setback. Their attention moves wherever the outcome appears to move. Meanwhile, the person focused on the process remains steady. They continue working whether the feedback is positive or negative. They continue improving whether anyone notices or not. And because their behavior is not controlled by short-term results, they are able to sustain effort long after others have lost momentum. This is where most people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline means forcing yourself to work harder than everyone else. But real discipline is often much quieter. It is the ability to keep your attention on the process when your mind wants to drift toward the outcome. It is the ability to continue executing when there is no immediate reward. It is the ability to remain consistent while others become emotional, impatient, or discouraged. In many ways, discipline is not about controlling your actions. It is about controlling where your attention goes. And attention is one of the most valuable forms of power a person can possess. What makes this difficult is that the process rarely looks impressive in the beginning. Success has a way of capturing attention because it is visible. The process is usually repetitive, ordinary, and easy to overlook. Nobody applauds consistency in real time. Nobody celebrates the 1,000 small actions that quietly create a result. People only notice the outcome once it becomes impossible to ignore. This creates a dangerous illusion. It makes success appear sudden when it was actually built gradually. And because most people only see the visible result, they spend their time chasing the outcome instead of studying the process that created it. There is another layer to this that few people consider. When you become obsessed with success, you often become dependent on motivation. You need to feel inspired to keep moving. You need reassurance that your efforts are working. You need visible signs of progress to maintain confidence. But the person who is committed to the process operates differently. Their behavior is not built on emotion. It is built on structure. They do the work because it is part of the process, not because they feel excited about the result. This creates a level of consistency that motivation can never provide. And over time, consistency almost always outperforms intensity. This is why controlling the process is ultimately a form of psychological independence. The moment your emotional state depends on success, you place your peace of mind in the hands of circumstances. A delayed opportunity can disturb you. A setback can discourage you. Someone else's achievement can make you question your own progress. But when your focus is rooted in the process, those things lose much of their influence. Your attention remains anchored to what you can actually do today. And there is a certain quiet strength in that. The world becomes less capable of pulling you away from your path because your direction is no longer determined by external events. If you look carefully at people who remain effective for decades, you will notice a pattern. They are rarely obsessed with winning individual battles. Their attention is fixed on maintaining the conditions that allow them to keep moving forward. They understand that a single outcome, whether positive or negative, is rarely as important as the system that produces outcomes repeatedly. This perspective changes how you interpret both success and failure. Success stops becoming proof of superiority. Failure stops becoming proof of inadequacy. Both become information. Both become feedback. And feedback is far more useful than emotion when your goal is long-term progress. The average person believes success creates confidence. In reality, confidence is often the byproduct of repeatedly controlling the process. Think about it. The strongest confidence rarely comes from praise, recognition, or achievements. those things can disappear. Real confidence comes from knowing that regardless of the outcome, you can rely on your own habits, standards, and ability to execute. This is why some people become arrogant after success and collapse when circumstances change, while others remain calm under pressure. One built their identity around results. The other built it around the process that produces results. If you've ever felt distracted by outcomes, approval, or the pressure to constantly prove yourself, I put together something that may help. It's a free private ebook called The Art of Strategic Indifference. It explores how to stay emotionally steady in a world designed to pull your attention in every direction. I normally only share it with viewers of this channel. If you'd like a copy, you'll find the free download in the description. Comment "Process" if you've made it this far. Perhaps the most overlooked advantage of focusing on the process is that it changes your relationship with time. Most people live mentally in the future. They are constantly waiting for a result, a breakthrough, or a moment that will finally justify their effort. This creates a subtle form of dissatisfaction, because the present always feels incomplete. The process-oriented person experiences something different. Their attention remains grounded in the work itself. They are not waiting for the future to validate their actions. The action itself becomes meaningful because it strengthens the process. And when your attention stays rooted in the present, patience becomes much easier to maintain. This is also why the pursuit of success often creates unnecessary pressure. When every action is judged by whether it produces an immediate result, even small delays begin to feel threatening. People start questioning themselves. They wonder whether they are falling behind. They compare their progress to those around them. But the process does not operate on the same timeline as emotion. The process rewards repetition, refinement, and patience. It often appears ineffective right before it begins producing visible results. And the people who understand this are far less likely to abandon their efforts during the quiet stages when nothing seems to be happening. There is a reason this way of thinking feels unfamiliar. Modern culture is built around outcomes. People celebrate results, not processes. They admire the visible victory, not the years of invisible preparation behind it. This trains people to focus on what can be displayed rather than what can be controlled. But the individuals who quietly outperform others often reverse this logic. They pay less attention to appearances and more attention to foundations. They understand that visible success is usually a delayed reflection of invisible habits. And by the time everyone else notices the result, the real work has already been done. Machiavelli would likely see this as one of the most important distinctions a person can make. Most people are captivated by the reward. They become emotionally attached to what they hope to gain. This attachment makes them predictable. It makes them impatient. It makes them vulnerable to distraction. But the person who is committed to the process develops a different kind of strength. Their focus is not pulled in every direction by desire, because their attention remains fixed on execution. And a person who can consistently control their attention possesses an advantage that is difficult for others to understand, let alone compete with. The deeper you look, the more you begin to see that success itself is often a poor target. It is too broad, too dependent on variables outside your control, and too easy to romanticize. The process is different. The process is specific. It exists in your daily decisions, your standards, your routines, and the actions you repeat when nobody is paying attention. Success may arrive eventually, or it may arrive in a form you did not expect. But a strong process creates value regardless of the outcome, because it continuously improves the person executing it. And that is something no external result can take away. Once you understand this, a subtle shift begins to take place. You stop asking whether success is getting closer. you start asking whether the process is becoming stronger. That question changes the way you evaluate your days. A day without visible results is no longer wasted if the process was executed well. A setback is no longer devastating if the process remains intact. Your attention moves away from temporary outcomes and toward the thing that actually determines long-term outcomes. And the moment that shift happens, frustration begins to lose much of its power over you. What surprises many people is that this way of thinking often produces better results precisely because it stops obsessing over results. When your attention is no longer consumed by success, more of it becomes available for improvement. You notice details that others miss. You make better decisions because they are not clouded by desperation. You become more patient because you are not constantly demanding immediate proof that your efforts are working. And over time, that patience creates an advantage that is almost invisible at first, but becomes difficult to ignore later. There is also a kind of freedom that emerges when you stop chasing success. You no longer feel the need to constantly measure yourself against other people. Their victories do not threaten you. Their progress does not diminish your own. You become less concerned with where they are, and more concerned with whether your own process remains aligned with your standards. This is a quiet but significant shift, because comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose focus. The moment your attention becomes occupied by someone else's path, your ability to improve your own begins to weaken. The irony is that many of the people you admire are not thinking about success nearly as much as you imagine. By the time they become successful, their attention has usually shifted elsewhere. They are focused on maintaining standards, refining systems, improving execution, and protecting the habits that created their position in the first place. They understand something that most people never fully grasp. Success is not a thing you catch and keep forever. It is a byproduct of a process that must be continuously maintained. And the moment you forget that, the process begins to weaken. At some point, you begin to realize that success was never the thing creating progress. It was only the visible evidence that progress had already occurred. The real source was always the process beneath it. The repeated actions, the standards maintained in private, the decisions made when no reward was guaranteed. Most people spend their lives staring at the surface, wondering how to obtain the outcome. Very few take the time to understand the mechanism producing it, and that difference changes everything. Perhaps this is the real lesson hidden beneath the pursuit of success. The outcome you want is rarely the thing you should focus on. Outcomes are uncertain. They depend on timing, circumstances, and factors beyond your control. The process is different. The process belongs to you. It can be improved, refined, strengthened, and repeated. And the people who quietly separate themselves from everyone else are usually the ones who understand this distinction. While others spend their lives chasing success, they spend their lives controlling the process that creates it. And the strange thing is that once you truly understand this, success begins to lose some of its hold over your mind. It stops feeling like something you need to chase, force, or constantly think about. Your attention naturally returns to the work itself, to the habits, to the standards, to the actions that can actually be controlled. You become less concerned with how things appear and more concerned with how they are being built. You stop measuring every day by visible results and start measuring it by the quality of your execution. And that is where a different kind of power emerges. Not the power that comes from recognition or achievement, but the quieter power that comes from knowing your progress is no longer dependent on circumstances, praise, or short-term outcomes. The power of knowing that while outcomes may rise and fall, the process remains yours. And in the end, the people who achieve the most are often the ones who spend the least time chasing success and the most time mastering the conditions that make success inevitable. Because while everyone else is focused on the reward, they are focused on the mechanism that creates it. And over time, the mechanism almost always wins. Before you go, you can download my free ebook, The Art of Strategic Indifference, through the link in the description. It's a private resource created specifically for viewers of this channel and expands on many of the ideas we discuss here about emotional control, restraint, attention, power, and human behavior. If you found this video valuable, leave a like and let me know in the comments. What's one process in your life that has produced better results than chasing success ever did? I'd be interested to hear your perspective. Share this video with someone who may benefit from it. Subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and watch the next video. And for those who want access to a deeper layer of these ideas, I also share private material on Patreon through the link in the description. These are observations, frameworks, and discussions that aren't structured for public platforms and are shared with a smaller group of viewers who want to explore these subjects in greater depth. Think of it as the private side of the conversation, where we examine the patterns, dynamics, and strategies that are often overlooked in public discussion.